take the pain to save you. Baby, I've been high and low. All the feelings I won't show. It's better if I let you go. You'll be better off alone. Pretty little fears I got, second guessing every shot. I won't lie, no I won't lie. I'm free but now I'm lost. Freedom comes at a cost. I won't lie, not this time. It's better if I let you go. You'll be better off alone. Ain't nothing we haven't tried. I'll sing you one last goodbye, and I won't think twice. So, ready or not, I'll go. I'm setting you free for sure right now. Don't ask me how.
Thought I had her in a loose-leaf grip, said I'd take my time. She keeps calling and she just won't quit, and we all know why. Screws tried to lure me right into an affidavit. Remind me as I'm falling in, I'm out of time. I'm caught up in your tongue, they say. You claim that you love me, but it's just another play. I'm stuck inside your room all day. You say it's for my safety, but I'm just one of your prey. She's got a gun and a bag, and she's waiting for you. She has the time to decide how she's gonna kill you. You can keep running, keep your eyes wide open, but you never see it coming, no use. She's got a gun and a bag, and she's waiting for you. She's got a gun and a bag, and she's waiting for you. Hidden kisses always felt so sweet that they left me blind. Making promises we just can't keep, and it felt so right.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into tonight's Boise State Overwatch match at the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. We are continuing our season in the ABC tournament as Boise State takes on Pittsburgh, both 7-1 teams. I am Brenner Bearlad, joined tonight by Colby D'Angelo. So going into this match, we know the first map is Nepal, so What does Boise State need to do to bring this and allow us to get into nationals?
Well, we need to be focused more on team play than individual play. I fully expect Boise State to come out with this going as a team, not 6 individuals, but one group together. And I expect them to run probably some sort of echo dive, especially on the village and more open Nepal maps. The only one that we might not see the echo dive is Sanctum. I expect us, because it's not necessarily optimal to run there. In that case, I expect either Arissa Sigma or Reinhardt Diva maybe, or something like that.
So heading into the Nepal, you talked about some of the strategies we might be going into and what we might be going up against.
Oasis.
Very rarely we also see a Symmetra come in, and it looks like we are even going to have a swap over to Oasis as well. So now with the Oasis swap in Nepal just being all on me, what is that team composition going to look like for Oasis compared to Nepal?
On Oasis, I expect us to see probably a Cassidy is the DPS that I think both teams are probably going to have, and both teams are going to have to. It's going to come down to who has the better Cassidy, who has the better CC man, is one of the things. And I also fully expect to see Plato on Reinhardt if we're going to Oasis, because that is, with the exception of maybe if they wanted to run a dive. I mean, you can't obviously run Reinhardt in a dive, but if you wanted to run dive in the middle open map, you could do that too, because high ground control is incredibly important, and high ground control is not something that Reinhardt is very good at.
Yeah, so for this ABC tournament, let's go ahead and take a look at the event card for tonight's matches, because both of these teams are going to be 7-1. So even going into something like Doc's Keys to the Game, which we know is something so key for these teams that we constantly are referencing, would be a great thing to go over tonight. So as we take a quick look, Doc's Keys to the Game is to never take a fair fight. And what does that mean? It means take fights in unexpected places when they are unprepared, and tempo, tempo, tempo. That is brought to you by Drop In Gaming. Drop In Gaming is your premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play through your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you are new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop-In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at dropingaming.com. So heading into this Oasis match, with both of these teams being 7-1, these games are very key for both teams, because in this 2 matchup that we have against another team later on tonight, getting 8-2 allows us into nationals. It's guaranteed. So with such a heavy burden for both of these teams, are you worried about kind of the players' mentality going into this, with the pressure really being on them?
No, pressure is not something that Boise State usually succumbs to. We have there are other mentality problems that occasionally show themselves, but like rising to pressure and rising to challenge is never one that Boise State has struggled with. We approach it as a learning experience, and honestly, that is one of the reasons I am most proud to be a Boise State fan.
I would have to agree as well. So getting ready to jump into this match, are there any final thoughts you have for us?
I expect Boise State to come at it with their all, and there are very few teams that can stand against Boise State giving it their all. So I hope we'll get a win, and I think it's very, very likely.
And then with this being a best-of-3 starting off control and then heading over to the next 2 game modes, do you think that we will even drop a match in the first match? Because we've seen Boise State going up against these higher level teams, and it's a either close match or it's an absolute swamp fest. So do you think we'll have that clean 2-0 sweep that we want to see so consistently?
Well, I am a Boise State fan, so of course I want the clean 2-0 sweep, obviously. But these teams are not going to be easy to do that to. However, difficult does not mean impossible, and Boise State has taken maps off of Northwood, so I think it is fully within our ability to get that sweep that we're looking for here.
Yeah, so heading into this Oasis, we're getting a nice little pan view, and already we can see some of the outlines from both sides. We're going to see that Ryan Diva comp on the side of Pittsburgh in the red. So do you expect this to be more of a mirror match with how high level these teams are in this tournament?
I expect it to be a mirror match probably on the tanks. I think where we might see some deviation is on the second DPS. We also see the outline of a Cole Cassidy there. And like I said, I think both teams will have a Cole Cassidy just because CC man is always good to have on your team. It looks like there's a Symmetra. And we have Kel on the Zarya, which is very, very important. So even the tanks aren't mirrored, but the Ryan v. Ryan is going to be something that we want to pay attention to.
Yeah, it's going to be a battle of the beams, especially for Boise State running with Maxwell on that Symmetra and Kell on the Zarya. So we're going to see a lot of beams coming out from both sides with an early elimination from Vanguard onto Gob. So already one of the star DPS players for Boise State is down with Plato, immediately getting the refrag onto Glacial for that May. Hey, with Evan Fong getting a 2-piece onto a large Bagel and Plato, this first fight not looking too good for Boise State, but already Maxwell is able to charge that Photon Barrier and get it up and running, getting an elimination with his turrets onto Vanguard, and Chosen getting another one onto Evan Fong. Kell getting one more onto Shaq, and it looks like Pittsburgh is going to have to go for the reset already, with Lux able to get the melee onto Maxwell with the D-Mech, stall out the Diva. A great first fight for Boise State.
Maxwell Kell carry, question mark? I think that was absolutely phenomenal. It was also phenomenal that we were on Kell's perspective to see all of that amazing tracking as we're going down. But that pick onto the May, that pick by the May onto Chosen is going to halt all the Boise State's plans.
Yeah, especially opening up this team fight with that amplification matrix. Boise State does have 2 of their own ults as an answer, but Vanguard is going to be able to take out Gob once again very early on before this team fight. It's really able to re-engage as Boise State's going to have to go for a regroup. And once again, like you mentioned, this Cassidy Vanguard is able to take out multiple members and even eats the Eva eats the grab, and the shatter comes out. So they lose Plato, that front line gone, with Gob already being at low HP. Large Bagel's going to have to go back and try to get those rotations on. Boise State, once again, having to regroup.
Boise State is not getting the value that they need out of the Doomfist, but I fully believe that I fully am aware that Goblin is capable on a multitude of heroes, so the swap should be easy to find somebody that he can get great effectiveness on.
Yeah, so already Pittsburgh's going to start off this team fight with both their own Sound Barrier and the Deadeye as the zoning mechanic, so they can't get onto point as Pittsburgh now takes the advantage in percentage. But Boise State's going for the eliminations with Chosen taking out the Vanguard, Maxwell getting a 3-piece, and Gob taking out Shaq, with Kell finishing off Evan Fong. It looks like Boise State's going to retake the point and have Photon Barrier coming online.
Boise State did a good job of kiting the ultimates from Pittsburgh over there, because Pittsburgh used them before Boise State hard engaged, and so Boise State just backed off and won the fight. But now we need to watch out for that Blizzard, because we don't have anything for it.
Yeah, no Diva to eat it up like she did our Gratific. But
not
a
quite.
Great Diva bomb as takes out Maxwell. The wall was an attempt, as you said, he tried. But Gob on this Doomfist is going to be able to take out Shaq, as the rest of the Boise State members are getting taken out by multiple members of Pittsburgh. But you can never count Boise State out, as it is still a 3v2 situation. And a great Sound Barrier is able to keep him alive through the charge pin. Large Bagel trying to knock down the Reinhardt through the hole, but with only the 2 tank members, Pittsburgh's going to have to pull out. Yeah, he's able to get the elimination onto Reinhardt as well. Boise State's trying to go for the re-engage with this Lucio.
So here's what I expected from Boise State. Fantastic team play. Here's what I'm getting from Boise State. Fantastic individual play.
Yeah, you can never really count them out, even when they are down members, because they have fantastic 1v1 capabilities. And already Gob's going straight for the backline with the amplification matrix, and at 99%. Things are looking up for Boise State, but Gob's going to have to get an elimination as it is now. Oh, the 1v1 between Vanguard swapping off Nicole Cassidy onto the Doom, but it looks like Maxwell's going to clean things up with another triple, make that a quad onto the members of Pittsburgh, and Boise State's going to finish it up with a team kill. Boise State started off not great, but came back.
Maxwell go burr, Maxwell Simbeam go burr. That was fantastic to watch. The few team fights that Boise State had, Maxwell was the one that won that on the Symmetra. Just because that is Symmetra's role in there against the Reinhardt, is to win those team fights and genuinely just be terrible and a menace and send the other team running. I will say, I expected Boise State to come out of this as a team. I expected them to do everything as a team. And while I'm happy that individual play and just winning those and just everybody clutching, like everybody just being totally like out of their minds, amazing play, I still think that what we will need to win, there will come a point where people can't clutch anymore. Whether that's against Pittsburgh or somebody else, there will come a point where people can't clutch anymore. And I think Boise State needs to be ready for that.
Yeah, so heading into this next matchup where we see Pittsburgh taking the high ground, Boise State going straight for the point, what are some early eliminations you want to see coming out from either side, as this is a near mirror match on the DPS side?
One of the first eliminations is probably going to be on the Chosen on the Zenyatta or Shaq on that Ana, because both of them have DPS that their whole job is to hunt them down. And so it either goes They either eliminate the support or the support eliminates the DPS coming after it. And honestly, I didn't expect anything less of Chosen. Max cleaning up with the kill onto the monkey, and then Chosen at it again with the
Yeah, even having the high ground advantage, Pittsburgh was not able to get the eliminations that they wanted, as Glacial was the first one taken out by Chosen, quickly followed by the Winston and the Cassidy, and Maxwell even able to finally get Shaq, who was actually one of the last ones eliminated, who we thought was going to be the first, which is quite interesting. But being the sniper, I guess she definitely had to hold back. So now Boise State getting on the aggressive with a large bagel, taking out Glacial once again, not allowing him to get that pulse bomb, with Plato on the Wrecking Ball taking out the Winston once again, pushing them back to their spawn, getting that advantage. And with the Sombra getting close to that EMP, this next team fight seems like it's going to go Boise State's way.
As long as Gob can charge it, which is fully within Goblin's capabilities, I believe. I think we're setting up for an EMP bomb, especially if we're going to hold them right outside their spawn like that. It would be a beautiful play to run that EMP bomb.
Yeah, they also got the Rally and Transcendence, so they do have answers for that Deadeye that they have as well, with Pulse Bomb coming online and the Nano. So going with this far round push by the Cars, do you think that Boise State might try to go for the refrag entry with the Sombra hanging on behind with the EMP?
I think, obviously, that we are.
Spoke a little bit too late on mine, but already with Boise State opening up this team fight with 2 eliminations onto both Glacial and Lux, and Maxwell even getting the Pulse Bomb elimination onto Thirst, with Chosen cleaning up on that Winston. The last 2 members of Pittsburgh do have the ultimates, but they're going to have to go for the reset. And with Boise State at 70%, the pressure is on to Pittsburgh to get 1 or even 2 fights left.
And that pick on Liliana prevents them from getting a second fight, so they just have the 1 fight that they can go on, because Shaq couldn't get out in time and didn't get eliminated.
Yeah, and it is going to be an even ult match, so it's going to be who presses Q first, and a large bagel is going to kick it off, as the armor is going to help them running into this fight. All the ults are coming out right now, honestly, between everybody. The Nano came out onto the Winston, the Transcendence came out, same with the Rally to kick things off and give them that extra boost, but they still have the Primal Rage, and Pittsburgh's going to use their own Rally. Now the Primal Rage comes out, just once again spoke a little bit too soon, as it's kind of been even between these two. We saw Maxwell take out Vanguard, as well as we lost both supports on the side of Boise State, and now Gob as well. It looks like Pittsburgh's going to go for the point, and now Vanguard even swapping over to the Soldier 76. Kel demeched and eliminated immediately, but is going to have his self-destruct going into this next fight. So it looks like Pittsburgh's finally going to take it, as Boise State got to the 99%, Glacial at 70% for that Pulse Bomb once again.
And Boise State has the time. They have a whole 100% to set up for, because all they need to win is 1 fight. And right now, Pittsburgh doesn't have really anything in the ways of defensive ultimates. So Boise State can take whatever time they need to set up and engage.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be all about the picks to get the advantage, and already we're even with the large bagel losing his life to the Winston, Plato taking out Vanguard on that Soldier. So being down the DPS, they will have the advantage, but they don't have the sustain, losing their supports. Max will attempt with the Pulse Bomb, but does not land on anyone. Going to try to take out their own Tracer, but a big self-destruct coming out from Kel, able to eliminate Shaq and Lux as Plato cleans up Winston, quickly followed by Kel getting that triple onto Thirst, with Maxwell taking out Glacial and Chosen finishing off Vanguard. They won that team fight, as you mentioned, and they're going to take the point and win map 2 of Control in this best of 3. So now it is on Pittsburgh as we head over to match point for Boise State. A strong first map showing for them, for sure.
We talked about how EMP Bomb was going to be their win condition for a fight. We talked about doing it outside of spawn just because there's no real cover there. And we have Goblin play of the game against a McCree, which really just speaks to how capable Goblin is as a flanker. That McCree was not even aware that he was there. And then Goblin was saved by a large bagel with the beat. That was truly a glorious play.
Yeah, so here at Boise State, we are always looking for talented players and production members to join us. So we are always looking for top talent that can earn scholarships as well. Sign up today by visiting boisestate.edu/esports for more information. Boise State, like you said, good first map and solid showing. It was a bit rough start, and as you said, we need to work on that team play, but we do have the individual matchups that you want to see from a high-level team in these 7-1s. So now with Pittsburgh coming back, being down a match, what do you think is going through their heads, and what do they need to change going up against Boise State winning a constant 1v1s?
I think that they have realized that they're not going to beat Boise State on an individual level on any of their heroes. They're just individually a little bit outclassed, but they still have a chance to win this because, obviously, I mean, it's a team game, right? And Boise State is not currently playing like a team. I mean, everybody's like out of their minds clutching, but those clutches are ultimately what's winning us things. And we did get better about it, second map, but there still is a lot more of the emphasis on winning those mechanical 1v1s and just clutching as a player versus going in as a team. Like, we were always down a couple when the team fight went in, but we went in anyway, and somebody did an insane something against Pittsburgh. So I think what's going through Pittsburgh's head is they're like, wow, we're not going to individually outskill these people. We need to come at them with all six all the time and single these people out because they're in positions where you can take advantage of that.
So with the next map being hybrid on Kings Row, the map that we all know and love that will always be the main staple of hybrid, at Boise State we've seen in the past have their unique defense strats and kind of a rushing attack with a May even sometimes. So with Pittsburgh having just lost the match and going into this new one that is kind of attacker favored if they choose to go on attack first, what are you expecting to see from both sides here?
Ryan May. Ryan May, 100%, both sides. If it's not Ryan May, the team without the Ryan May will just get rolled over because that is just kind of how Kings Row works. And for the other DPS, there are a couple of options you can run. We've seen an Echo run to great success. We've seen, again, Cole Cassidy. He's just good in all situations. But I fully expect a May. And if we've also seen Gob get a tremendous amount of value on the Torbjorn for Kings Row. So there are a couple of like secondary DPS swaps that you can make, but there's going to be a May. And if there's not, someone's getting walked over.
All right, so as we wait to get into this next match, let's go ahead and take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Kings Row with Boise State versus Pittsburgh, but it sounds like we're just going to go right into it, actually. So heading into this match as well, with this being a best of three between Boise State and University of Pittsburgh, you mentioned the Ryan May, and so all eyes are going to actually be a lot, in my opinion, on the Divas to eat those blizzards from the May and try to wait around both the ice walls to pick off any of the frontline members, as even when you and I played together on a team, it was always May walling off the Reinhardt to burn down that front line. So do you think that will be one of the team strategies going into this matchup?
Obviously, if you're a diva, you want to eat the blizzard. So yes, 100% that will be one of the strategies. It's like kind of a mind game between the May and the diva. And really, against a top-tier diva like Kel, if Kel decides to run diva, that mind game is not really in the May's favor because Kel, as told to me by Doc, is the most skilled player in role on the Boise State team. So if their May gets a successful blizzard off, it's probably because they were able to completely collapse in on Kel and get that mech out, because mech withstanding, Kel will get it every time.
So this being a complete mirror match and already a good solid engagement from both sides, and Shaq already up to that 25%, same with Chosen. These Baptistas are charging it so quickly, and with Boise State losing their immortality field first, quickly followed by Pittsburgh. We have not seen elimination just yet as the stun comes out, but it looks like Gob's going to get the first elimination onto the Reinhardt as well. A good first engagement, and already it looks like Pittsburgh's going to have to back up.
Reinhardt does not have a good day against May McCree, even with the full support of his team. So I will say that Elf over there being the first elimination, that was entirely Boise State's goal, and we did it. We're on the team play.
And both teams already having amplification matrix. It looks like Boise State's going to open up with theirs, and Maxwell's able to get a two-piece onto both the Cole Cassidy and the Lucio, make that a three-piece onto Shaq. Kel takes up the immortality field and loses the Diva mech on Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's going to almost get team-wide, but 2 seconds out. They're not going to get the bell for it, but close enough. So going to this next team fight, they have the Blizzard to open up with.
Maxwell is winning the Battle of the Maze. We talk a lot about how Frost is capable on the May, but Maxwell is just as capable, as we're about to see here.
Yeah, opening up with that Blizzard, not even going to get eaten up by the Diva. Is going to have to cryo freeze to stay alive, and the Shatter comes out as well from Boise State. Does not land onto any members of Pittsburgh, but they are able to take out Pittsburgh's immortality field. Still waiting for the push from Pittsburgh as it looks like they're going to speed in and even Maywall apart the Baptiste and the Rhine. Opening up with the Deadeye for the zoning. They go for their own Shatter, but it looks like Plato's going to be able to get the block and charge onto Shaq as Gob wins the 1v1 of the Cold Cassidy as Kel takes out the Rhine. Maxwell winning that 1v1 between Glacial. Gob finishing up, gets a two-piece, and looks like Vanguard hovered that Hanzo, but is going to go back to the Cold Cassidy.
Kel's going to get that Blizzard every time. And the second Kel got that Blizzard, we knew that a large bagel was going to go in with the sound barrier because he didn't have anything else to beat other than that Blizzard. And now that the Blizzard's not a threat, we can aggro beat, go in. We got the freeze on their Reinhardt. Boise State is really just firing on all cylinders as a team.
Yeah, and already opening up with the Amplification Matrix and Maywalling Pittsburgh's Amplification Matrix so they won't get value out of it, but they can also just simply line of sight it around the statue. Kel's going to open up with the Self-Destruct and land onto no members of Pittsburgh, but that does force out the Immortality Field. So we're going to have to wait and see if Elf is going to use that Shatter with Plato's shield being quite low. Pittsburgh's going to have to commit their sound barrier as well, as Chosen's Immortality Field is eliminated, and it looks like even the self-destruct from Pittsburgh's is going to come out. Oh, but Vanguard is able to take out Plato with Lux getting one off his self-destruct onto Large Bagel. Shax takes out Maxwell, quickly followed by Vanguard now winning that 1v1 against Gob, and Thirst takes out Kel. Looks like Boise State losing one teamfight is going to have to give up the point.
That was the first fight where Glacial got better Maywall value than Maxwell. And, I mean, you can't win the May battle every single time, so perfectly respectable. They brought them down to the wire. That was one of the last fights they were going to have. So I would say absolute top-tier defense by Boise State, even though the point did get taken. And Boise State doesn't really have a whole lot to get them off of the point. They can kind of zone them with Amp Matrix.
Yeah, and already opening up this fight with the Blizzard and Amplification Matrix, Pittsburgh is committing a lot and not getting any eliminations for it right now, with Plato dropping very low, but the Immortality Field's going to have to keep him alive, and it looks like he's going to have to back up. And he even gets the elimination onto Shaq with their own Amplification coming back, so Boise State going for the Refract, able to pick up 3. He make that 4 as Vanguard is able to take out Gob, but Kel is able to get the Refract for his teammate, so Boise State immediately able to take space and is back at the archway.
Gob was the price, but now Maxwell is incredibly close to Blizzard, much closer than Glacial, again, winning the ultimate value of the maze. And so now Pittsburgh really needs to watch out because Maxwell could charge this mid-fight or charge at this fight and use it next.
Yeah, Large Bagel also closer on the beat as well to have that answer, but it looks like Vanguard went for the Deadeye attempt, but Gob able to get the flashbang around the Maywall and cancel it out as Elf eliminates Plato, so Boise State losing that front line is going to lose both supporters from Vanguard as Gob is able to finally take out Elf on their own Rhine. So it looks like Pittsburgh is going to go back to the cart, but Thirst is going to take out Maxwell as Gob takes out Shaq. Boise State still brawling, trying to win those 1v1s, but it looks like they're finally going to get reset as Kel gets taken out by Glacial.
Shaq was the prize for Pittsburgh pushing the cart. They will not be able to full cap second point without somebody on Boise State contesting if we choose to do that, and likely using the Blizzard because we have the potential to stop them here, but it looks like we are going to try to contest this.
Yeah, Boise State has the ult advantage going to this fight, whereas Pittsburgh only has the Amplification Matrix that they're going to open up with immediately as Maxwell makes sure to wall that off so they do not get the value from it. Is going to open up with the Blizzard, and it looks like their Diva will not be able to eat as he eliminates Vanguard. Is going immediately for Glacial on that man. Plato is going to get the elimination with the Flame Strike as Kel takes out Elf again. Looks like Vanguard's finally going to go over for that Hanzo swap, so it is no longer the Cassidy-May combo as Large Bagel finishes off Shaq with the boot.
Lux is making a valiant effort to eat those Blizzards and is just barely missing it. That is the second great, super impactful Maxwell ultimate that has happened, that the Diva has made an incredible effort and must have just barely missed eating the Blizzard.
Yeah, so Boise State zoning out the members of Pittsburgh with the Amplification Matrix as Plato gets a cheeky Flame Strike with the help of it to take out Vanguard on that Hanzo who is on the ground. Not what you want to see when he has window advantage from the height. The Maywall attempt from Maxwell to try to catch out Elf, but a great Shatter coming out, landing onto 2 members of Pittsburgh as the Immortality Field is going to come out. Gob's going to get the Deadeye elimination onto Lux, but the Sound Barrier is going to have to come out to save Pittsburgh. Now Boise State throwing out their own Diva Bomb, not able to get anything, but the Remix not able to get elimination either. Pittsburgh's going to try to dive for the cart and is not going to get it as Gob gets a 3-piece. Maxwell taking out Thirst. Boise State wins round 1, but Pittsburgh got 110 meters on that cart.
The Battle of the Maze is the thing we're most interested in on Kings Row in a mirror matchup, or almost mirror because they switched to Hanzo at the end over there. And Glacial is overall winning the wall battle over Maxwell, but Maxwell is winning the ultimate battle. And part of that comes into the Maze skill with placing their ultimates, but the other part of that is Diva skill. Like, since both teams are running Divas, a Mei ult is... The Mei has to ult correctly, but also the Diva has to be in not a good position to eat it or not able to eat it for whatever reason.
Yeah, you highlighted Lux. Multiple attempts trying to eat that Blizzard and was not able to, which led to multiple fights not going the way of Pittsburgh. But the one time they did win the team fight and got the point, you mentioned that they got the Mei value.
Yes.
So with so much of this pressure being put onto those two players as well as the Cole Cassidy, we saw Vanguard attempt the Hanzo swap. Do you think he'll go back to it trying to get value and make it an actual strat on this map?
I don't think that Cole Cassidy adds better things than Hanzo, especially in the mirror matchup of the team comps. They might be trying to like deviate from the mirror because in a lot of cases because they don't feel like confident going up against Gob on an individual basis, which is fair. But like I don't think that stun is just way too big of a deal.
Yeah, so already Boise State boosting past that archway and is going to open up with the Maywall and catch 2 members out as they try to escape over to the right. Plato falling very low, but that Immortality Field keeping him alive. Gob's going to get the first elimination of this matchup and take out Thirst, quickly followed by both Kel and Gob 2 more times. Gob got the 3-piece right now. Plato's able to get the Flame Strike onto Lux. Maxwell gets the elimination of Glacial, and that's already a team elimination within less than the first minute of the match.
Chosen has 90% ult from healing Plato through swinging at double-digit HP. And I would just like to shout out to Chosen there, because Plato had no regard for his own life, but luckily Chosen was looking out for him.
Always got to show the healers some love as Boise State's looking for the next engagement as they have that amplification matrix online. Gob getting so close to that Deadeye as well. Maxwell almost losing his life so low, but Pittsburgh just looking for an easy pick so they can finally get this engagement on the roll, but Boise State's going to get on the aggression with that amplification matrix and get the shatter onto 2 members, but Plato is going to fall to Glacial as Vanguard is able to take out Gob as well, but Chosen able to take out Elf. Pittsburgh losing that front line, opening up with the Blizzard, and now the amplification matrix coming out as Maxwell gets a 2-piece, but Glacial in the backline is able to take out Kel. Now Thirst finishing off Maxwell as Kel was demech and eliminated. But Lux out of the mech is still alive as Large Bagel finishes off Thirst. Boise State pushing the cart once again. Deepa not having the mech at 90% is finally going to get taken out by a Large Bagel.
Boise State went back to what we were seeing a lot of on City Center and things like that. They went back to individual clutch team plays. And the clutch there was Maxwell with the Blizzard, though he got eliminated. That was not necessarily something that would have gotten value against perhaps other teams, and hopefully Boise State doesn't do that, doesn't rely on that clutch again.
Yeah, so already Pittsburgh's going to open up with their own Blizzard, but Gob's immediately there to cancel out the Deadeye as the Sound Barrier comes out to deny Gob's own Deadeye. He's going to immediately roll into both Elf and the Cole Cassidy and is going to get eliminated. So Boise State's going to open up with the Shatter as Kel gets a double elimination, but Vanguard's going to quickly answer it with elimination onto a Large Bagel. Pittsburgh's going to have to pull out all the stops here. Boise's right next to the win, but they're going to drop their own Diva Bomb, not be able to pick up one, but Kel's falling very low, so immediately Maxwell's going to go back in with his own Blizzard as Lux was not there to eat it up. Maxwell's going to be able to take out Vanguard on that Cassidy and one more onto Thirst from that Lucio. Plato's cleaning up Glacial on that Doomfist to try to get in as quickly as possible, and another Shatter coming out from Plato gets Boise State the win. Boise State a clean 2-0 in this best of 3 against Pittsburgh.
Boise State definitely has improved more from a team play perspective. So I will say that winning the Kings Row especially felt satisfying because Boise State very obviously improved on a team level from map to map.
Yeah, we see a great play of the game from Maxwell. So both DPS players on the side of Boise State is able to get those play of the games. So with this final match up between Pittsburgh, any final thoughts from you, D'Angelo?
If you're a Boise State fan, you should be incredibly proud because we literally just watched our team go from completely relying on individual clutches to win a map to playing as a team and winning on the May Reinhardt, partially because of individual skill, but mostly because we just pushed better and worked better as a team.
Yeah, so a great showing from both teams. Pittsburgh even had their moments, able to win that first team fight going into Kings Row and taking that point. And so a great first match for both teams, but Boise State has one more coming up. So as we wait for that next match coming up, we are going to throw it to a break, but we do have a ICCU player of the game for that match. So D'Angelo, your thoughts on that?
I want to say Maxwell because Maxwell did an incredible job of getting incredible value out of the May Ultimates. Maxwell did get outwalled sometimes, but I think that's less because Maxwell is a bad May and more because Glacial is a good May, because both of these are incredible teams, right? So I gotta give it to Maxwell if I had to make a guess. May is the most impactful person on Ryan Maymere, and Maxwell just did it better.
Yeah, and it looks like we might actually give it... And it is going to be Maxwell, actually, as we throw it over to Gob's play of the game from the Oasis match. But as you mentioned, Maxwell, both on the Symmetra, was getting that quad on the first Oasis map, able to get Boise State the win on that map as well. So Maxwell is the ICCU player of the game, brought to you by the Idaho Army National Guard. So thank you, Maxwell. But any final thoughts for this match? You said Boise State fans should be proud of this. Both teams played very well, and they were both 7-1 as well. So this confirms Boise State going into the Nationals, because now they have the 8 win, being now 8-1. So going into this final match, what do you think Boise State's feeling?
Great. I think they're firing on all cylinders as a team. I think they're excited that they got to Nationals. It was something that they really hoped and knew was in their capability if they rose to the occasion, which they definitely have. That game was nothing if not Boise State rising to kind of some internal and external challenges. So I'd say they all feel great.
Yeah, great first showing, but we got one more game coming up after this, so I hope you'll stick around and listen to these messages we have just for you.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your Guard adventure.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. We are going to continue on with some CBC high school Overwatch matches as we wait for the next Boise State Overwatch match. So I am Brenner Bearlad, joined once again by Colby D'Angelo. So going into these high school matches, this is definitely a different skill level of play that we just casted with the Boise State Pittsburgh match. So what are some of the things you expect from these high school plays, as they can definitely be a lot more quick match oriented?
I think quick match oriented is the correct way to describe this, because it's not necessarily that we're going to see less individual skill, it's just that we're going to see less general team play skill, because a lot of Boise State stars right now are freshmen that just were high schoolers that we just picked up, right? So it's not fair to say that high schoolers aren't as good as collegiate players. They're just not as team-oriented. They're not like a well-oiled machine. Like
they're working their way up to it.
Yes. They have the individual skills. They just need to be put in that team and work with a team, which both Boise State and Pittsburgh put a lot of effort into kind of honing all of these individuals that have a lot of potential and have a lot of skills, but turning them into something that can be used as part of a six-piece whole rather than an individual person.
And I really wonder why the high school players definitely take that more quick play-oriented play to it, because we definitely know that there's a solid meta. Like you mentioned on Kings Row, it's always going to be the Cole Cassidy, May, Devo, Ryan. And yet the high school players always like to do something a bit more unique on that end and keep things interesting, especially for us on the cast, not just always, all right, it's the mirror match, it's going to be this, it's going to be this. High school players is we don't know what's going to happen. They always really like running, the Orisa Sig. That doesn't always work out, but when it does, they have a very big, flashy play that everyone loves to watch. So going into a lot of these matches that can kind of throw us off of what we're used to, what are some plays coming out of these players that you hope to see that might just be for fun games?
You mentioned Kings Row, and it might just be fun to see, May notwithstanding, a ball on Kings Row. That's one of the most questionable picks I ever see. It's like running a Reinhardt at Watch Point Gibraltar. It's equal levels of questionable. But I think it would just be fun, perhaps, to watch high school teams roll around as ball on a brawl map and maybe get punished for it, maybe not get punished for it. And I think that is also one of the most fun things for casting these games, where it focuses on individual rather than team.
So as we take a quick look at Doc's keys to the game for this high school match in Overwatch, means to never take a fair fight. And what does that mean? Take a fight in unexpected places when they are unprepared and when you have ability advantages, which is brought to us by Drop In Gaming, which is the premier online platform for gamers who seek competition. Play your favorite games to win cash and prizes through free and paid entry matches and tournaments. Whether you are new to the scene or a seasoned veteran, Drop In Gaming has the right games and competition for you. To begin your competitive gaming journey, sign up at dropingaming.com. So with Doc's keys to the game, these are actually very helpful tips, because you want to have the ability advantage. We've seen with this kind of quick play oriented, we see players speed boost into this fight with Cole Cassidy not having the flashbang, which leads to a lot of these kind of fun matchups that we have.
Yes, if you engage and your Cole Cassidy doesn't have their flashbang, that's really unfortunate, and you start your engage a couple of whatever the cooldown is, you start your engage however long that McCree has on that timer is when the engage actually begins. It's like a false start.
Yeah, so going into this first matchup on Nepal, it's going to be CBC High School versus Blue Springs. Blue Springs is a team that we've seen in the Esports Tower that performed very well. They got second place in the most recent Rumble, and already opening up with kind of a symbol that we're used to seeing from Boise State. What are some key things here? We do get the Wrecking Ball that you wanted to see as well, even though this may not be Kings Row.
What's really important here is we have Bandley on the McCree, and we have Kale on the Doomfist. And that Kale is going to have to actively avoid Cole Cassidy with everything that is in him, or that'll happen.
Yeah, already we saw Kale on that Doomfist take out Blaze on that Tracer so early on, but immediately Bandeli is able to take out Kale. Like you mentioned, they're going to have to stay away from each other because Bandeli is going to win that fight so often as Brett takes out that Immortality field, and Brett is able to take out one of the members of ED doubled on CBC. Kale does win the engagement against Bandeli, but Joe's quickly coming back and taking out Brett, so it looks like CBC is going to win this point and now take some space as they won the point and are already up to 30%.
The Doomfist kill onto the Cole Cassidy is definitely not, it's definitely not something you typically see. I think if Kale continues to win that 1v1, I would be very interested to see, well, yeah, because that's what usually happens, especially when Bandafly has both of his supports ready to back him up.
Yeah, we heard the Shatter come out, but did not land onto any members. We saw the Sound Barrier come out from CBC, as well as Brett uses those mines as Blaze is able to take out Eclipse, but no eliminations coming out from those ultimates. Blue Spring still holding on to 3 of theirs, with CBC having 2 of theirs, but that Photon Barrier is just now respawning. We see the Pulse Bomb coming out from Blaze, as well as the Deadeye coming out from Bandeli, and is able to take out Jello after he got demeched as well. Oh, Brett and Bandeli are cleaning up CBC right now from Blue Springs. It looks like they're finally going to take out back the point as Joe trades with Cone and loses his life to Bread. So going to this next fight, Blue Springs only has that self-destruct to CBC's 3 ults.
So we expect to see a little bit of a shift if ultimates are used, which we are going into this fight here.
Yeah, so going into this fight, we haven't gotten any elimination, but the Photon Barrier came out immediately, as you mentioned, but everyone else has been holding on their ult, and of course, right as I speak, Vet gets an elimination onto E doubled, so losing that support is not what you want to see for CBC, as Bread opens up with on the point on the mines and takes out Joe. Eclipse quickly taken out by Noodles. Bandeli takes out Kale. Jello is managed to take out Bread, but with those mines takes out the Lucio, so it looks like Blue Springs is going to win the team fight again. Ult percentage has been kind of close, as Blue Springs now getting the advantage at 70%. CBC does have the ulted. Actually, they are tied for ults. So what are you expecting to see from both teams?
Well, that rally will be pretty big in stopping any Doomfist attempts to get in. And that is the second time that the second time in 2 fights in a row that E doubled has been eliminated first, and that's not what CBC High School wants to get value out of that Baptiste. Now they're gonna have to make a mad dash to the point, likely with their Baptiste coming in mid-late fight, if at all.
Yeah, opening up with that self-destruct, not able to get any members, but does force them off the point as Brett opens up with a great slam on that Wrecking Ball. CBC is going to have to use their Sound Barrier as well as every ult they have, including the Shatter and the Meteor Strike from the Doomfist. But it looks like Cone's going to get the first elimination of this fight onto Eclipse, but Kale's quickly taking out Bandeli, removing his counter, as Brett gets an elimination on E doubled. Blaze taking out Joe. Looks like Blue Springs is doing their best to win this fight. Does not get an elimination with that self-destruct or the remake, as Blaze takes out Jello. Cone taking out Exclusivity, and they win map 1 on Nepal.
CBC High School is not getting the value they need out of their Baptiste or their Doomfist, which is incredibly unfortunate because we know Kale winning that 1v1 against the Cole Cassidy even once shows that Kale is a very capable DPS player, because that is an incredibly difficult thing to do. So I think that CBC would have a much better time if Kale would swap off that Doomfist that is being hard countered to something else, perhaps even take that mirror matchup. Because again, as we've been talking about all night, Cole Cassidy is somebody that you can play in all situations, right? So, and I think that Kale was holding on to Doomfist as long as they were because they wanted the ultimate, and it's just not worth it.
Yeah, so already a very quick start to this first team fight as Bread rolling right into the team of CBC, but it looks like we're going to see a big change up on both sides. Blue Springs staying their most consistent, whereas CBC changed up almost everything with Exclusivity and Kale sticking to the 2 that they know. But no eliminations coming out, and of course, right as I say, Bandeli is able to take out Kale. That counter really not working out for Kale so far, as Eclipse is able to take out Bread though, so Blue Springs losing one of their main tanks. CBC has still yet to take the point as they're finally beginning to cap it, but Blue Springs could easily start contesting it. Damage is exchanged from both sides.
CBC is 5v6ing as long as they're running that Doomfist that is hard countered.
Yeah, we saw that there. The flashbang just not allowing that combo to go through as Jello is able to take out Cone, but KC Vet is able to take out Kel. Same with Noodles taking out Eclipse. So now CBC down 2 members, and Blue Springs having even spawn advantage since they're so close. Now Blue Springs is going to cap the point as the ult comes out from Bread with those mines. He charges it so quick. We saw that on Esports Tower, but he's able to take out Joe. So now Blue Springs is getting the offensive to push CBC back to their spawn.
And I think Blue Springs, they gave up 14% of the point, but they did that to kind of like slowly win the fight. They weren't super concerned with getting on the point as long as they won the fight.
Yeah, now ED double swap over to that Moira is going to open up with Coalescence as Joe gets the first elimination on Bandelli, opening things up for Kale to get some possible value, but get an elimination on the Cone. But the double vet mech kill, both one from the self-destruct and the remech, taking 2 members of CBC as Kale finally swapping over to that Echo, but Bread is able to take out Jello. Blaze taking out ED doubled. Blue Springs came back in after they lost a couple members and got those refrags, and Eclipse is going to have to back off with only 18 health as KC Vet takes out Joe.
Blue Springs, as affectionately as possible, pulled a Boise State. They were down in the team fight, but some members definitely clutched it, and so they were able to keep a hold of the point. And, you know, whatever works for them, honestly, because now they're also at a massive ultimate advantage, and they can hold this for the next without letting CBC get any more than 14%.
Yeah, Bread charging these mines so quickly is going to open up with immediately and force out that sound barrier from exclusivity, whereas the rest of the CBC members are holding onto their ults, where KC Vet finally going to get the remake. Did not get any value from that self-destruct, I believe, that they did not have, so that is wrong on me. As Bandelli's still holding on to this Deadeye as well, when CBC's still holding on to both their self-destruct and the Pulse Bomb. ED doubled getting really close to that Coalescence, but is finally going to use that Pulse Bomb. Bandelli with the Deadeye attempt, but does not land onto any members and get that elimination. Kind of a prolonged team brawl. Now the Coalescence comes out. Flashbang attempt onto Joe is not going to be able to get anything, and he takes out Noodles. Eclipse is going to be able to take out Bandelli. Jello finally uses that self-destruct to take out Cone, as Eclipse is able to deny the remake, and Kale gets the elimination. Joe takes out Blaze, and that's a team kill for CBC.
That fight was a perfect example of why you can't always rely on clutching and why you really need to place your ultimates intentionally with the purpose to get value for one reason or the other and make sure that you're ready to play as a team, because Blue Springs High School can't clutch every fight, and that's all they had a second ago.
Yeah, so heading into this next team fight, it's the pressure's on CBC because Blue Springs is at the 99% and has the 3 ults online, where CBC only has the Primal Rage and now Pulse Bomb. Bread opening up with another mines, 3rd mines, I believe, as Joe is able to get the knockback elimination with the Primal Rage, as Blaze is able to get a 2-piece onto ED doubles and Eclipse. KC Vet quickly following take out exclusivity. They're going to have to jump back onto the point, or else they were going to lose it to Blaze, but it looks like they're going to go for the cap, and now back into overtime. CBC does not look like they were able to recover from this, as KC Vet even uses a self-destruct, and Blue Springs takes Nepal.
Because Blaze popped off on the Tracer. Those last 3 fights in succession are a perfect example of, I mean, it worked in this case, but why clutching doesn't work, because it doesn't always work.
So, Boise State broadcast brought to you by the Idaho National Guard is the proud supporter of Boise State Esports. Top plays are presented by Idaho National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time with more than 10 jobs, offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice. Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there. Reach out to them at iGuard Gaming on Twitch. So a great first match for Blue Springs, showing why they earned that 2nd place in the Esports Tower Overwatch Rumble. CBC also had some really good plays on their end as well, and was able to win a lot of those fights and get so close to capping a multiple of those maps.
I will say, I think CBC has overall better team play, but it's not so much better that Blue Springs can't clutch. It only gives them like a 60-40 percent chance of clutching, like, whatever Blaze feels like that fight, or whether or not Blaze is alive to clutch, because Blaze is usually the player that they're relying on to get this clutch on the Tracer. Whether that's because they're just that comfortable on Tracer or they just pop off on every hero, we have yet to see, because we've yet to see them on anything other than Tracer.
Yeah, and I also want to highlight Brett on the side of Blue Springs. He got 3 mines in that final map on Nepal just on the Wrecking Ball alone. He's able to farm those so quickly, which is something we highlighted in the previous matchup that we saw from them. So great plays by both sides. And heading into this next high school matchup, I'm very excited to see what both teams have in store. So make sure to stick around as we take a quick break. So enjoy these messages.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
So it is a
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
welcome back into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. We are waiting for the next Boise State Overwatch match against Ashland to kick off. And in the meantime, we got a couple things to show off. We have Ashland's arena, a couple pictures of that, and also some highlights from the Pittsburgh map. As we take a look at the Ashland's quick little arena, I am Brenner Bearlad, joined still by D'Angelo. Oh, so we got a quick sneak peek of that little arena, and I'm very curious what it looks like because we have multiple spaces on our own Boise State campus that we use for esports. So getting a quick look at it, your thoughts, D'Angelo?
Gamer chairs are the most important part of that setup. I remember when the Boise State Esports program had exactly like this. We have rooms exactly like this. So it's interesting to see another setup like that. I love the posters on the wall. You can tell all of those machines are definitely high quality, definitely probably some computer envy going on over here. But overall, that looks like a really, really nice setup. And hopefully the Eagles feel as blessed as they are to have a setup like that, because not all esports programs have anything close to that.
Yeah, it is definitely helps the mentality of the players. If you're playing in a space and actually have the players you're playing with sitting next to you, can make all the difference. Playing here on stage versus at home with nobody around you makes a big change. Same with you wearing jerseys or not. It really helps you just feel better and be a part of the program as a whole. And so I definitely enjoy seeing that and what other schools might be doing compared to us. We have a whole dedicated space as an arena on top of having a practice area. And so the fact that they even have that is great seeing.
And the fact that Boise State is able to have an arena is only because of all of our sponsors and all of our support that everybody gives us from watching, which is also super amazing, and we obviously never take for granted either. But I gotta say, friendships are made sitting in gamer chairs 2 feet away from each other. I gotta say, that's the way to do it. That's the way to make friends. When I was a player for Boise State, I'm still friends with all the people I sat next to in gamer chairs for like 4 hours at a time without like going to do anything else, just playing Overwatch.
Yeah, at that point, you're definitely getting accustomed to each other because being in esports is definitely a sweatier space. So you get used to all of the smells and just learn to just not smell it anymore. And so it's one thing you have to get accustomed to, especially when the guys I've played with, especially like on the Siege team, is when we're in a game and it's sweaty because you all have to sit there and listen for footsteps. It's a bonding moment of just, oh, I know what you smell like now after a workout, and it's burned into my brain.
Brenner, I am concerned that
you get used to it. It's fine. They're friends. It's fine. It's fine.
Bring communal deodorant, or bring like a pack
you
for
just bring a
everybody
can
to
of
share.
Ace and just can of Axe, and you just go away.
We have an interview with Cal.
So before we head into our next match against Asheville, we do actually have a player interview with our very Ashland, with our very own Kel on that Diva, who was able to eat almost every blizzard coming out from Pittsburgh in that previous matchup. So D'Angelo, any questions you want to ask him? Because I'm very curious in such a good mirror match, what comes down to making the difference here?
I love interviewing Kel, defender of the point, protector of the time bank. It's absolutely fantastic. The stall tactics are amazing. So, from the perspective of Kel, what's going through your head? What is required to successfully eat 90% of May-Ults? I can't remember a May Ultimate that got off that was impactful.
Well, I would say it's just, first of all, it's knowing that they have May-Ult. Because if you know that they have May-Ult, it's a really good ultimate, so you know they're looking to use it. And then you just watch the May. Every May's going to do certain things, but start walking for it, throw it all. You just look for those cues, and then you hit DM, and that way you don't have to rely as much on just having like a flick reaction to you.
Is it sometimes finicky to eat that May Blizzard? Because it seemed like the enemy diva was like trying real hard, but it was just not working for whatever reason.
Diva's defense matrix is definitely
Just say we're having mic problems and cover.
All right, so we are currently having some mic problems between us and the stage, between both us as the casters and on the players. So we did hear a little bit that the defense matrix was a kind of key thing in how it's been changed since day one of Overwatch 2 today, and now that she also has the missiles as well, kind of being up in the face. We're not seeing the typical of, up against the Pharah or the Echo. So anything you want to touch on there, D'Angelo, about kind of the importance of D.Va on King's Row?
The importance on D.Va of King's Row is to counter the Mei ults, which Kale did to amazing success. But also, there's not a lot of high ground in King's Row that is inaccessible, but D.Va can access it at incredibly high speeds, and King's Row is also a sniper map. It's a brawl map, and it's a sniper map. And D.Va is good for both of those. D.Va is good for the brawl because she hard counters a major brawl player on King's Row in the Mei. She also just does a lot of damage, like all tanks do up close. But D.Va's other main strength is her ability to get to and monopolize that high ground and kind of like self-sustain from up there. And we saw Kel do all of that. And honestly, I wouldn't expect anything less from the best in role player on the Boise State team.
So we've talked a lot about kind of the King's Row strat being a consistent Cole Cassidy and Mei. You did mention briefly that Echo has her spot and does have time to shine everywhere. How come we don't see her more often with kind of the Mei wall and the verticality element being so important here?
There are a couple of reasons. One of them is because she doesn't have a stun. Echo does not have a stun, and that's incredibly important. King's Row is all about giving the enemy tank a bad time. And Echo does that with her beam, which is why she's played and which is why she's viable, that and her amazing ultimate in Duplicate. But it's not a cooldown stun.
Yeah, so now we are actually going over some highlights of the Boise State versus Pittsburgh match, and we're going to be watching, it seems, Maxwell's perspective as the attempt for the wall up against the D.Va bomb was there.
Feels bad.
Yeah, it definitely feels bad. You can only block so much, and if you put it right on top, you're getting hit no matter what side you were on. But Pittsburgh was able to get a lot of eliminations here until Gob got into that backline and taking out Vanguard. That's what you want to see from a Doomfist.
That is also something, I touched on it before, that is something that is incredibly hard to do on Doomfist. It cannot be overstated how much has to go right for you to be able to get an elimination onto the Cole Cassidy, CC man himself, as a Doomfist who is hard countered by CC. There are a couple of ways you can do it if you build up the shields to do it, and the Cole Cassidy doesn't have a mercy pocket or anything that can help break those shields or anybody else looking at you and shooting at you. You can do it, but it ultimately comes down to two things that Goblin does really, really incredibly well. One, flanking. Goblin's an amazing flanker. We all know that. Two, genuine general mechanical skill. You have to know all of your Doomfist abilities. You can't mess up a single one. Goblin doesn't do that. He's just too high an elo of a player to just miss his abilities frequently like that.
Yeah, you don't want to see those kind of basic mistakes, especially in this high level of play when both teams are 7-1. You had to get there in the first place, so you know you have to have that skill for sure. And we didn't really get a touch on that final match, but we did see Maxwell on that Tracer able to kind of disrupt the enemy lines the best he could because it was a much higher kind of dive team from Boise State. So what's your thoughts on that for that Oasis map being the total circle? The Wrecking Ball played a very good role there.
Maxwell on the Tracer it's sickening to watch because he moves so quickly and does everything. It's also sickening to watch from the perspective of, wow, that person's racking up a lot of kills. So it's like, in a really, really good way, Maxwell on that flanking Tracer knows how to stay out of trouble and has the tracking to get the eliminations.
So we're going to take another quick look at Doc's keys to the game in Overwatch: to never take a fair fight. And what that means is to take fight in unexpected places when they are unprepared, and tempo brought to us by Drop-In Gaming. And I think we needed, whenever I see this, I always touch on the tempo because Lucio's speed boost from a large bagel or any side is so key of how you engage the fight, because you want to take those fights when they're unprepared, which is the other part of Doc's keys to the game. So I definitely think those come in handy for any team playing this game.
So you mentioned tempo, and the biggest thing that Lucio has with tempo that nobody talks about is the fact that he can get you out of a fight as fast as he can get you into a fight. So if you go in, you lose Plato on your main tank, Bagel can yeet you back out of there. And that is another thing about Lucio, of controlling that push and that pull, knowing when you can go in and knowing when you need to get out, and Bagel calling that. I think that is the biggest example of tempo that we've seen tonight and we've seen on most of our casts.
So we did see there briefly on Busan opening up.
Somebody got wrecked on Lucio by a Sombra, and that's what we saw.
We just got a taste. That's all you get for now. And I do always love seeing a Sombra, because when we used to play, Sombra was a very hated person with kind of the ability to cancel out all abilities. So now going into Overwatch 2, where they're kind of changing and reworking her completely, same with the Bastion, and you got to get her in while you can.
Sombra is never going to be liked. Even if she's hard meta, she's never going to be liked to play against. She will always be one of those heroes that people are like, oh god, I'm against the Sombra, this game is terrible. Because she has a lot of control over what players other than herself on the enemy team do. It's like the same principle people don't like playing against Reinhardt's particularly, or Balls, don't like playing against a Mei because they get CC'd out of their mind and can't really do anything. Like, especially if you're as a Reinhardt, your life and your ability to play the game rests entirely on your team's ability to peel for you, because a good Mei is just gonna wall you every time, right? And we see that happen all the time with Plato. Plato goes in, he gets walled, he gets saved by his team. And Sombra, people don't like playing against Sombra for similar reasons. She denies you the ability to do the things that you're supposed to be able to do in game, which I actually think fits the game and I actually think is good, but it can feel really oppressive to play against a really good Sombra.
So now we are back on the correct first control map, which is back on Oasis. So going back to Gab on this Doomfist, and if he's going up against another Cole Cassidy, do you think it's still going to be an uphill battle that he should swap off of, or just commit to it?
Gob is not somebody that I would often tell to swap off, because Gob actually specializes in playing off meta picks and playing things like that that normally wouldn't work, but making it work through his other abilities as a player. If there's somebody that's going to make Doomfist work against a Cole Cassidy, it's going to be Gob.
Yeah, so jumping to this team fight, once again, we've seen Maxwell on the Symmetra, same with B1H, but this time they're also bringing a man opening up with the wall, but Kel gets the first elimination of this matchup onto skis of that Mei, and Plato's going to get a two-piece himself, taking out their own Reinhardt and Baptiste, with Gob taking out the B1H, so not having a Cole Cassidy, he's going to have a field day against this team, as they're already going to have to go for the reset.
You would imagine that the Mei could counter a Doomfist, but that's simply not the case, because Doomfist is far too mobile for Mei to be able to do anything about. She can't freeze him before he can just get out, and a wall doesn't do anything just because he has so much vertical mobility. And they're immediately onto the McCree.
Yeah, that was a necessary swap as they walk through Maxwell's car wash that he set up, and so now he already has the photon barrier as Ashland throws out their amplification matrix, so that is immediately negated. Boise State on their A game, waiting for both the shatter and their own amplification matrix to come out here, as Ashland is just waiting to get a possible pick, but getting stuck in a hallway. A great four-man shatter is going to lead to a team kill. Boise State, when you put yourself in a corner, Ashland, they're going to capitalize on it.
Gob was the price to the Cole Cassidy, no less, as we expected. But Plato, man, way to hand the fight to your team. That was a fantastic shatter that nobody on Ashland was ready for, but everybody on Boise State was ready for.
Yeah, that was the second time Ashland had gone over to that side room on this map, but Gob immediately eliminating his counter and going in with the meteor strike on that grab from Kel as well, taking out the immortality field as Plato is able to take out the Baptiste. Maxwell taking out the May, quickly followed by Plato winning the 1v1 against the Reinhardt. Ashland's just going to have to sit in their spawn because Boise State's not going to let them out.
You notice how Goblin decided not to push their spawn after he saw the Cole Cassidy peeking out at him? I think that was just a lovely little thing that exists. Kel, no longer on the Diva, cannot be relied upon to eat the May ultimate, so we got to figure out something else.
Yeah, and it looks like a large Bagel's going to immediately counter it with his own sound barrier as Maxwell was frozen and got eliminated as the Diva Bomb now coming out, taking out the Chosen's Immortality Field, but Maxwell's able to immediately get the elimination onto the Baby Diva, same with Plato taking out their Rhine. Boise State gets a clean first map victory on Oasis against Ashland. Ashland did not have a chance to leave their spot.
On Bagel dealing with that Blizzard, the sound barrier was good against the Blizzard, but what's more impressive and ultimately helped his team more was the fact that he speeded everybody that he could get out. Because a giant circle appears on the ground, and you, as Lucio, have the opportunity to get your team out of that circle. And so everybody on Boise State just scattered. And so the sound barrier was helpful because it enabled them to be aggressive after that, but what initially saved them was Bagel just helping everybody run.
Yeah, so now heading into the Oasis map we did not get to see last time. Already we're going to see Boise State running a comp we have not seen them on with the Wrecking Ball and the Sombra, whereas Ashland looks like they're kind of taking Boise State's strat from last map, but this time now with a Reaper.
That Reaper is going to give Plato a bad time every time he tries to go in, and I'm betting you that Kel's also cursing this because that's what tanks do when they go against a Reaper. They're just kind of like, that's a lot of damage, better stay away.
Yeah, we already saw a very early elimination from Maxwell onto Skis, who now swapped over to their own Sombra, but Plato's not going to let him get away as he tried to go for the slam to get any ult charge already up to that 45% marker with Memes and the Baptiste, the two highest for the side of Ashland. Skis falling very low, and it's going to fall to Maxwell once again as Ashland's own Reinhardt is going to get hacked. Things are not looking good for Ashland, losing their DPS so consistently. They're even going to use the Amplification Matrix, and then the Baptiste is immediately going to lose his life, quickly followed by Memes taken out by Chosen as B1H gets the first elimination for Ashland onto Maxwell, but they're already going to have to retreat and go for the reset with the tanks being so low.
So Chosen is going to be hard targeted by Skis on that Sombra because that's just what a Sombra does to a Zenyatta. And much like Goblin on the Doomfist that should have been countered by the Cole Cassidy, I just don't think it's going to work very well for them just because of the individual skill of Boise State players and Maxwell coming back to peel for Chosen, because that's what happened in the Zen v Sombra the first time. It remains to be seen what else happens.
Yeah, Gob starting off this fight with a giant 3-man EMP, and Kel quickly follows it up and gets the elimination onto Ashland's Reinhardt. Plato's then able to get one more onto Memes on that Lucia. Oh, but Ashland's answering back, eliminating both a large Bagel and Gob. So it seems that they're fighting for this point as Cheesy Dance takes out Maxwell, same with B1H taking out Kel and Skis taking out Chosen. Ashland finally wins the point and has both the grab and the Death Blossom with both B and Amplification Matrix close behind.
They will probably try to combo those two ultimates, or they can use them individually to great effect. But because they have so many other ultimates up, they will probably try to combo that, and we see the Reaper setting up from the high ground that he dropped.
Yeah, we see Plato attempt to zone him out with the mines and does not get elimination for it, but a great EMP is going to come out into Boise State, landing onto both of the tanks. Chosen's going to have to use that Transcendence to keep his teammates alive as the graph came out. The Death Blossom attempt from B1H does not land onto any members as they have that Transcendence. Now Large Bagel's going to use the Rally to take out B1H. Same with Chosen taking out Skis, so no DPS on the side of Ashland, but they do have both tanks and both supports, even though they are quickly getting eliminated. Cheesy Dance only able to pick up Plato as Kel gets a 2-piece. Boise State takes the point back with Ashland only able to secure 52%.
Ashland gets a free shatter with the Reinhardt because we have no ability to block it unless we all file behind a large Bagel shield, which is just physically not possible because tank character models are just bigger than Brigitte. So, Kieran gets a free shatter, but all the members are split. so it's likely not going to be incredibly impactful.
Yeah, and a great opening hack on Tikel, not allowing him to use that Diva Bomb. It looks like Ashland's trying to win this fight the best they can, as it is a 2v4, not a 1v4. Boise State lost so many members early on, and B1H finally coming online with this Reaper, able to finish that out with a 2-piece onto the last 2 remaining members of Boise State. So Ashland's trying to close the distance on percentage for this point.
Boise State is again reminded of the damage that a Reaper does when they're allowed to get close to you. You play kind of a game of keep away when the enemy has a Reaper, because you can't go close to him. He will win that every time. And especially if he is on his Reinhardt most of the game, that makes it very difficult to win fights. So that is something nice that B1H is doing for his Rein against this comp that terrorizes a Reinhardt.
Yeah, one thing I did not mention is Gob swapped over to that Cole Cassidy, unless you did and I'm just deaf. But a great opening start for Boise State, as they're able to eliminate so many members of Ashland, even with the Diva Bomb, as Chosen and Gavin and Kell just getting multiple picks. And a team fight practically is going to end that, and a team wipe that is. Boise State takes Oasis.
My boy Kel, protector of the point, lobber of the bombs, player of the cute diva girl with that diva bomb there, was getting incredible value against a Reinhardt, and not all of that was because they were coupling it with EMPs. But this is definitely a play for the books, because no one was ready on the side of Ashland.
Yeah, just because you aren't getting eliminations does not mean you are getting value here, because Chosen on that Baptiste was fantastic. Esports Tower, one of the great supporters of Boise State, able to help us out with so many, and we even host our tournaments many times on. We saw that in the last match with the high school Blue Springs from Esports Tower, able to support us multiple times over. So thank you, Esports Tower. But Chosen got the play of the game with that Baptiste, which is not something we always see, because he had that amplification matrix, which led into with all those shadows because they just stood in a hallway. So going into map number 2, which is 99% chance with it being hybrid, gonna be Kings Row. We're gonna see the Cassidy mirror match. What we saw from Pittsburgh was a strong push, but they weren't ultimately able to get that second checkpoint. So what is something Ashland should do going up against Boise State?
I think they have a good chance at trying to take the May Rhine, because that's a more team-oriented strategy, and that kind of forces both teams to play like teams and doesn't have as much of the emphasis on the individual skill getting you the benefit from there, because that is where they're losing a lot of this, is on the individual skill, because they have great team plays and they are fully capable of wiping Boise State as a team. And I think if they picked Kings Row, how both teams would have to play that map would benefit them greatly.
Do you think there's any chance that it won't be Kings Row? That we might have some variety?
I think it would be best for them if they picked Kings Row, but if they don't, that's, I think, better for Boise State. And I truly don't mind casting Kings Row at all. Like, very different from you and Fish. I know, like, it's sacrilege to say that you like Kings Row as a caster. But I just can't get over, as a player, how great of a map it is to run all of these things on and how dynamic it is. And so I will always like Kings Row.
I'm a Route 66 man, but I know that's a different mode, so that's totally fine. It's my OG map from the first days, but we are going to have that Kings Row. Oh, so we both know it's going to be the mirror match of the Cole Cassidy and the May. Do you think they would even try to go for the Echo, as we haven't seen any of the flying DPS from either side? Or do you think they'll stick to the meta, being that they're both higher-end teams in this tournament?
They might pull out the Echo if they feel desperate and they feel like there's nothing they can do in their current team comp for nothing to work, just because sometimes the switch can make you feel better if you feel like you can't do anything else. Some other divergence in DPS that we might see, that I touched on a little bit before, is we might see Gob on the Torbjorn, because Kings Row is actually a really good map for Torbjorn, especially on defense, but we've seen Gob make it work on offense. But we've also seen Gob make it work as Doomfist going into a Cole Cassidy. So do with that what you will. So there is a little bit of DPS variance that can happen. May needs to be there. If one team has her and the other one doesn't, that's a GG, go next until you get in May.
Yeah, so this is the Boise State versus Ashland University match. This is a best of 3, so the pressure is on Ashland to win this map so that we can go to a map 3, which would be Escort if we can make it there. So the pressure is on for both sides. And when we first came to this map against Pittsburgh, we saw their DPS Vanguard go over to the Hanzo a couple times. So do you think that might even be a factor coming in here, as we just talked about that Echo?
I think if the Hanzo gets played, it'll be in the same way that the Echo gets played. So like as a desperate, you feel like nothing's working, and so you go Hanzo to switch your comp up, hoping that that might change. I think that is the only reason that Hanzo would probably get pulled out. I think the comps are pretty set on this May, CC Man, Cole Cassidy, and then the Reinhardt, and of course the Kel on the Diva, and Chosen on the Baptiste, because really, Chosen on the Baptiste is one of the most impactful things that we can have in a game, especially against that May. Plato's going to need that support.
Well, Ashland is actually going to bring out their own Hanzo starting off, not going for the Cole Cassidy with B1H on it. Do you think that's the smart play? Because we talk about how important he is, as already Frost is able to get such an elimination onto Memes, and the Maywall is not even able to cut the team apart. So Ashland's going to have to go for a reset, as the Maywall is even blocking them off from spawn. They're going to have to use the Immortality Field to stay alive. Looks like we're already going for that reset, so that Hanzo's not paying off.
Ashland is going for the shield break strat, and they're going to threaten Plato from multiple angles, right? Because May always threatens Plato from the front line. Nice Frost. Amazing snipe.
Again, first onto Memes, taking out that speed boost has just been kind of crippling to Ashland because that doesn't allow them to push. They want to take the team fight where they want to, and they need that speed boost to do so. Memes just getting caught out is not what you want to see.
And we do have Frost in instead of Maxwell. So different May player, but they're both very capable, as we can see here.
Yeah, so kicking out the team fight, we did see a great Maywall splitting off both the Ryan and the Lucia. Oh, and already very early on, that Immortality Field is going to get taken out as the Amplification Matrix comes out for Ashland.
Oh, no!
Is not able to get value, but the Hanzo does get value, taking out Chosen right as he throws down his own Amplification Matrix. And it was not leading to eliminations, as Skis takes out Plato and Memes takes out Gob. Gob's Deadeye does able to take out Cheesy Dance's mech, but she's able to get the elimination onto Frost as Keys takes out Kel. Memes gets the boop on the large bagel, and Ashland takes it with the Hanzo.
We lost Chosen, and at that point it was just a matter of how many seconds can we take off the clock there, because you lose your main healer, you lose your Baptiste, you'll lose the fight. And that Hanzo, that's another reason they pick Hanzo. Because the Hanzo can catch the Baptiste out better than McCree can at a distance.
Yeah, Boise State trying to go for the re-engage to get that ult charge and eliminations, as Kelly gets a 3-piece with the help of Plato on that tank, as Shatter was used. But Boise State now trying to even up the ults, as Ashland just has their self-destruct come online as well.
Boise State is playing the correct game here when they're down so many ultimates, playing super aggro and making sure that they use their ultimates and win fights before Ashland University has the opportunity to press Q.
Yeah, so one of the first times we saw Kel not able to eat up Ashland's Blizzard, and then vice versa. Both Blizzards being used, and a great Diva Bomb coming out from Kel, able to eliminate the Baptiste and Skis as Cheesy Dance takes out Chosen. Memes is able to take out Frost on the May, as Hub is able to trade, but Kel is able to get the refrag onto Reinhardt. Concentrates between both teams as Boise State push so close to Ashland spawn, they're finally going to have to back off and let him push the card.
Kel, defender of the point, attacker of spawn, and lover of bombs. We see Kel running away after a very impactful series of plays. Boise State has the opportunity to get a full reset fight because of those eliminations and those plays that Kel just made.
Yeah, and it looks like Ashland's going to open up with their own Double Dragon. Sticking to this Hanzo is only going to be able to take out the Immortality Field and Plato, it seems. So Gob's going to use that Deadeye and get taken out by Cheesy Dance. Self-destructed. He wasn't able to cancel it fast enough, and the large bagel wasn't able to speed away quick enough. And B1H gets another elimination on Chosen with the Sonic Arrow for the second time. And now Skis is taking out Kel, and quickly followed by Kieran taking out Frost. Ashland is playing very well around this card.
There is not a contest for Boise State here. full or staggered. So it's just going to go to third point. And as we go into third point, it's all on the Mays to charge Blizzard first or the Divas to eat them, one of the two. And Chosen to just stay out of the Hanzo's line of sight.
Yeah, we saw the shatter attempt from Plato not landing into any members of Ashland as the shield was up. And now Gobbs even over on the Hanzo trying to match B1H on this Hanzo, so that he's been very well and constantly taking out Chosen. But Large Bagel is going to get the poop onto Skis and knock him off the board. So he's not able to charge that Blizzard past 92% as B1H takes out Plato and Chosen as well. But their own Baptiste is going to be able to take out a Large Bagel. Now Kieran's taking out Frost. Boise State's going to have to go for another reset as Ashland is approaching that third checkpoint.
Boise State keeps getting separated in the fight, and that's costing them. Ashland is currently playing better as a team. Gob decided he wanted the mirror match.
Yeah, and he finally won that mirror match as well on that Hanzo, taking out the Double Dragon's ult possibility. So Ashland's already having to play on the back foot as they use the Amplification Matrix to hold their ground the best they can. But Kel's going to charge right in and take out that Baptiste, but Memes is going to go for the refrag onto Gob, trying to even it up. A Large Bagel's then going to get the boop onto Kieran and take him off the map with the environmental kill. So Boise State getting on the aggressive, having to take out any members possible as they lost their front line, as Frost wins the 1v1 against Skis, and now Large Bagel wins the 1v1 against Memes. But Kel is going to end up losing his mechas. B1H opens up with the Double Dragons and takes out Kel with the arrows, and Cheesy Dance is going to get the self-destruct onto Chosen's Immortality Field. B1H taking out Plato again, but Cheesy Dance is going to get taken out by Chosen as Frost is taking out Kieran, and now the Blizzard is coming out from Skis, is almost going to take out Frost, but he got right on the edge and was able to jump out. This team fight taking a very long toll and almost a brawl at this point.
It's less of a team fight and more of a scrappy fight. We lost Kel, and then we started using our ultimates to no real significant. Both teams started using ultimates to no real significant value. So hopefully we can start seeing some ults make some impacts now with Shatter, Amp, and both sound barriers.
Well,
nice reset.
Yeah, Ashland going for the 3-man reset as Kel's Diva Bond came out and was only able to take out the Immortality Field. Plato looking to go for a cheeky shatter from behind if they walk past him and don't see him, but looks like they might go through this. This could be terrible. And a great 3-man shatter from behind, taking out multiple members of Ashland as Gob takes out Skis and Plato takes out B1H. Kel's able to eliminate that Immortality Field, and Gob's going in on Memes as Kel takes out Riviera and Frost takes out Kieran, and that is practically a team wipe if you ask me, just not at the same time. So Boise State, a great engagement as Ashland didn't even see Plato.
Team wipe right outside of their spawn, Plato. I will be the first to say that I'm proud of you. Also, you should not have gotten value out of that.
Especially at this high level play, they should have seen that, like, check your corners. And so going into this next fight, B1H dropping low and gonna get charged back up, but he's so close to those dragons. Same with Gob, as they're both gonna open up with the Amplification Matrix from both sides, but Ashland's Immortality Field is going to be the first one to fall as Kel and Gob get the first 2 eliminations, quickly followed by the Reinhardt 1v1s, but Chosen's able to get the refrag and take out their Reinhardt. Cheesy Dance with the self-destruct is able to take out Chosen, quickly followed by Frost and Kel taking out the DPS, and Memes gets the boop onto Frost, but a Large Bagel gets the refrag. It's back and forth between these two teams, but Boise State came out on top.
There were a couple of eliminations that were a little bit questionable on the side of like Boise State, like why are you there? But it looks like we were able to clutch and win in the end, and now we have Blizzard, and Blizzard will definitely tide us over for these next 10 seconds.
Yeah, and Cheesy Dan's trying to go for probably a panic change over to the Sig that I don't think will make the difference. Maybe trying to eat the May ult that they haven't been able to. But there it goes as Gob takes out Skis. So there's no Blizzard for the side of Ashland unless this fight takes that long. As Plato finally takes out Kieran again, and Frost taking out Riviera. The self-destruct comes out and kills Cheesy Dance as Plato takes out Means, and Chosen takes out B1H. Another practical team wipe, and Boise State has a solid hold against Ashland on Kings Row.
Frost deserves a little bit of an emote there at the end. Fantastic. We heard the little oh as soon as, because we are also in the stadium with these players, and we heard the little sounds made as they both got those amazingly clean headshots that ultimately won Boise State that fight without the Blizzard. Just pure individual skill, head-clicking ability. The skill of the Boise State DPS lineup cannot be overstated right now.
Yeah, but also Ashland's B1H on that Hanzo, proving why the Cole Cassidy isn't always necessary. He got a lot of early eliminations onto Chosen, especially with the scouting arrow, no less, which allowed his teams to push so many times. So Ashland definitely is showing signs of life here. So now it is all on the Boise State attack here to push it as far as they can against Ashland.
As Baptiste going against a Hanzo, there are a couple of ways you can handle it. But the reason they went Hanzo is to force people to play different. Because you play differently against a Hanzo than if you are against a McCree. Because a McCree doesn't threaten the Baptiste really at all, especially from the distance that Chosen tends to play from. But Chosen also plays separate from his Reinhardt so they don't get walled off together. And so that provides perfect opportunity and perfect sightlines for the Hanzo that Chosen needs to constantly be aware of. And because of the kind of like quickness of that switch, they were able to get a lot of value before Chosen had kind of adapted his play style. I do expect to see less of Chosen getting caught out on attack, just because I think at this point Chosen has learned not to peek.
You know, but B1H is sticking to their guns with this Hanzo as Kieran gets the first elimination onto Gob, who initially started off on that cheeky torp, but did swap back to the Cole Cassidy. But it looks like Boise State losing Gob so early on is already going to have to play a little bit further back as they're going to be down the member. But it looks like Gob's going back to the torp, giving up the tiny bit of ult percentage he did have. And a great Maywall is going to separate Kieran, but that immortality is going to keep him a second more alive. But Plato is finally going to be able to get the final elimination onto him and take out Kieran before he's able to use the shadow that he had. So now it's Chosen throwing out the amplification matrix as 3 members of Ashland are now down. Gob eliminating B1H, Chosen taking out Skis, Chosen also getting one more onto Memes, and Gob getting one more onto the Baptiste as Kel wins the 1v1 against Cheesy Dance. The attack tour worked.
Better Maywall wins. Frost hit the better Maywall. They were able to eliminate Kieran, who has charged Shatter, so Plato needs to be ready for that. And I'm sure Plato is expecting it because Plato is nearing his own Shatter. Frost also winning the Battle of the Maze in terms of ult percentage, which will be incredibly important in this next engagement. Whoever charges it first, which is going to be Frost, is going to immediately use it as soon as we get through this arch, or to get through this arch.
Yeah, we're also going to have to be all eyes on Cheesy Dance if he's going to be able to ult, but instead B1H is just going to get the elimination and completely remove it from the factor. So now Kel's going to use the Diva Bomb, only take out the Immortality field, but they're going to answer with their own self-destruct in the backline of Boise State, not land on it, and he has this sound barrier is going to have to come out to keep members alive as Plato falls, but Chosen's able to take out Cheesy Dance. So both tanks being out of the question for Boise State, but with having spawn advantage, they're able to get the engagement quicker. So now both Blizzards online for both teams. Questionable
sound barrier at best because we were already down 2. Ooh, that's bad.
Once
that
again,
snipe on the Chosen.
Yeah, another elimination. Seems that B1H has his number, but Gob with the double turret elimination.
Oh my goodness.
Taking out both Skis and Memes as he's finally taken out by Cheesy Dance, trying to even the odds, even being down 3 members. Boise State having a rough time pushing through this archway is now going to have to also deal with the double dragon.
The double dragon, I believe we will get value either out of our Molten Core or our Blizzard. Boise State really needs to quit peeking the Hanzo. He's not exactly flanking or doing anything like that. He's with his team.
Yeah, and here come out the double dragons, able to take out Gob. So once again, just an elimination that should not have happened, especially with the large bagel, able to speed boost you out of it. And we're even going to lose Plato to the Baptiste. With both Gob's turret and the Immortality field falling, Boise State's going to have to go for a reset.
Pretty bad overall fight there for Boise State, but did you see Kel eat the Blizzard?
Always love to see it. He's doing his job at least. It's something's
true.
Better than nothing. For sure, you got to take it where you can. So all the ultimates are coming out from Boise State now with the Molten Core and the Blizzard as Gob falls to Cheesy Dance. And the amplification matrix came out for Ashland, but Boise State sped right through it, getting aggressive. But now peeking the B1H is not what you want to see as Kel gets the melee onto the Baptiste, and Cheesy Dance eliminates Chosen on the Baptiste. But now with Gob back alive, his turret's going to be able to take out Memes, and Frost takes out B1H finally, so they don't have to worry about any cheeky snipes. Stalling out Cheesy Dance the best they can, finally able to push the car as they've won this team fight.
And Frost got 30 ult 8% just in that fight. Used it at the beginning, had 30 by the end. Skis has had a couple of fights and is at 48. So I do think that Frost could potentially charge another Blizzard before Skis can use one.
Jan Gob getting such an early elimination onto B1H is exactly what you want to see, as he's been able to get a lot of cheeky snipes onto the backline of Boise State, as Frost takes out Kieran, quickly followed by Kel taking out the Baptiste, and Chosen taking out Skis, and Plato getting the Flame Strike elimination onto the Baby Diva. Boise State taking space here so they can charge that ult percentage so much quicker than Ashland, but they're going to have to watch out for the Shatter and Blizzard coming online for Ashland.
Boise State, once we're past this corner, we'll need to win a fight to get to the next corner and then win a fight to win the game.
So all eyes are on these Shatters as they're both online, but with such an early elimination from the Flame Strike going on to Gob and almost booped off the edge from Plato, the Shatter's going to come out and only land onto Cheesy Dance on the side of Ashland as he's quickly frozen, but Boise State losing their front line so early on is going to have to go for a reset.
That Shatter wasn't worth it. That was a Shatter. That Shatter wasn't worth it. It didn't get value. We were already down Goblin. There was no reason to continue that engage. We just lost our own ult charge and gave them some.
Goblin now back on the Hanzo, where he was successful last time in these 1v1s against B1H, but they do have the ult disadvantage, and now they're going to have to deal with the double dragons cutting them off. Possible self-destruct moment there as the Blizzard comes out from Boise State. Ashland still holding on to theirs. The Shatter did come out, but Kel and Gob are able to pick up two. Plato taking out Skis and B1H, winning the 1v1 against Gob, but Chosen a large bagel, able to get two more, and Plato gets the team kill for Boise State. So now they're trying to push the car as fast as possible, as they do have to self-destruct to try to get the zoning potential.
A bomb will likely be used here to get the elimination on the people that are split from the Reinhardt.
But Skis gets the Blizzard off, and Cheesy Dance is going to use his own self-destruct, quickly followed by Kel using his own self-destruct, each able to pick up one of the opposite teams, and now Skis taking out the final one, but B1H now over on the Tracer, taking out Chosen. Boise State's going to have to go for a re-engage.
And Chosen is less threatened from a distance now. Oh, nope, back to the Hanzo. Knew it was working for him, stuck on it. I can respect that.
Yeah, these Hanzo 1v1s are definitely something to see, as they've gone both ways in prior matches and already back up to 14% for B1H, but Gob's going to have Double Dragons online too at 94%. A large bagel does have Sound Barrier as well, and Plato having the Shatter online. Things are not looking good for Ashland, but they have to have that target priority for this to work out for them, as Gob is able to get such an early on elimination onto Memes and uses the Double Dragons right away to zone them away, as Frost takes out Kieran on the Rhine and Kel takes out Skis, quickly followed by Gob winning the 1v1 against B1H. Chosen takes out his own counterpart, and Boise State takes it.
Better Hanzo wins in that fight is what, and B1H got value the whole game, but Gob got value the last fight, and that's this is that Diva bomb.
Yeah.
But Gob got value in that last fight, and it let Boise State win Kings Row. So consistent play. Consistent quality play in this case did not end up rewarding B1H on the Hanzo for two reasons. One, Boise State adapted to their Hanzo. Chosen stopped getting logged. I mean, we had some problems getting logged, but we eventually stopped doing that. And then Gob just came in and popped off at the end.
Yeah, so a great win by Boise State, putting them at 9-1 now in this ABC tournament. So a great showing from both sides. So heading over to the player of the game for this match now, who do you want to highlight?
I think Frost had some amazing May plays, but I think overall the most consistent great play was from Kel for a couple of reasons. One, the consistent eating of the Blizzard, which is a team fight winning ultimate if you can't eat it. There was one Blizzard that got past Kel. Eater of the Blizzards, defender of the point, lobber of bombs. And so I think Kel deserves to be highlighted not only for that, but also just general high ground control. And even though Kel doesn't often pop up in the kill feed, Kel is a part of every elimination that happens. And part of it is just the nature of D.Va's bullet spread. But the other part of it is Kel has amazing and phenomenal target focus and priority. Kel knows who needs to get eliminated, what fight, and why.
Yeah, and I would also love to touch on that of being part of every kill. A large bagel on that. Lucio with his AoE healing and speed boost allowed his team to get those engagements so consistently. But I definitely want to agree with you with Kel, especially since he just got player of the game on that D.Va bomb. So as we take a quick look, it looks like it is going to be Plato this time on the Rhine with so many shatters and opening up on this Oasis that definitely helped him win on such an early fight, and Chosen got the play of the game for that match. But Plato is your ICCU player of the game, which is brought to you by the Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes the team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Plato is the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game.
And Plato definitely also deserved player of the game. One of the two tanks was going to be my guess there. And because Plato, first of all, just popped off and is amazing on the Reinhardt, and this play was phenomenal. Like, everybody was cheering when this play succeeded. Because, first of all, you didn't expect it to. And second of all, it's just an amazing play. But Plato also just deserves it for playing Reinhardt into Mei Hanzo on King's Row all night. That in and of itself is player of the game worthy, because that is not a fun thing to do on Reinhardt. And Plato took it in stride and did it well.
Yeah, having a great tank player, especially the main tank of a Reinhardt, the pressure is on you, so he's able to perform so consistently. I definitely think Ashland's going to come out of this and say, we need to check our corners, especially after a play like that just completely destroyed their attempted push out of spawn. So good on Plato for winning the ICCU player of the game. And I believe that is it for us for the night. So I want to thank you all for joining us, and we're going to go ahead and leave you with the top 5 plays of the game for the night. Hope you all enjoy this, and have a good night.
B1H is doing for his Rhine against this comp that terrorizes a Reinhardt.
Yeah, one thing I did not mention is Gob swapped over to that Cole Cassidy, unless you did, and I'm just deaf. But a great opening start for Boise State as they're able to eliminate so many members of Ashland, even with the D.Va bomb, as Chosen over to the SIG that I don't think will make the difference. Maybe trying to eat the Mei ult that they haven't been able to. But there it goes as Gob takes out Skis. So there's no Blizzard for the side of Ashland unless this fight takes that long, as Plato finally takes out Kieran again, and Frost taking out Riviera. The self-destruct comes out and kills Cheesy Dance as Plato takes out Means, and Chosen takes out them and don't see him, but looks like they might go through this. This could be terrible. And a great 3-man shatter from behind, taking out multiple members of Ashland as Gob takes out Skis and Plato takes out B1H. Kel's able to eliminate that immortality field, and Gob's going in on Memes as Kel takes out Riviera and Frost takes out Kieran, and that is practically not able to eat up Ashland's Blizzard. And then vice versa, both Blizzards being used, and a great D.Va bomb coming out from Kel, able to eliminate the Baptiste and Skis as Cheesy Dance takes out Chosen. Memes is able to take out Frost on the Mei as Gob is able to trade, but Kel is able to get the refract state on their A game, waiting for both the Shatter and their own Amplification Matrix to come out here, as Ashland is just waiting to get a possible pick, but getting stuck in a hallway. A great 4-man shatter is going to lead to a team kill. Boise State, when you put yourself in a corner, Ashland, they're going to capitalize on it. Welcome back to the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. We just finished up our best 2 matches against Pittsburgh and Ashland in the ABC tournament, and I believe we are going to be heading over to an interview with either one of the players or with Doc himself as a post-game show. And we even have the potential of 2 new recruits coming online. We've talked about how how from Esports Tower, Clear verbally said that he was coming to Boise State and was interested in the Overwatch team. So we have a lot to look forward to here for the post-game show. Oh, and I definitely want to highlight the two player of the games for the night, which was both Kel and Plato are two fantastic tanks holding that front line. And both had really good plays, and I definitely think Ashland is going to be on the lookout for any corner checks from Plato. Is definitely going to be something that we're going to have to watch out for. So we are going to throw it to a quick break as we get ready for these next interviews. So enjoy these messages.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure. Welcome back into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. We finished up our two maps and matches, so we have an interview here with our very own Dr. Haskell coaching our Overwatch team. So, as a review of these two first maps, going into Pittsburgh, both being 7-1 teams, what was your strategy going into it, starting on Oasis for both games?
We've spent a lot of time practicing Oasis. We look at what the map pool says and what's coming up, and we make sure that we're prepared for it. We got a lot of good time with Elevote this week. Our ball comp really cleaned up. We've always been strong at Brawl. Our ball comp was a little disorganized, and nobody better than an OWL player to really get us focused in the right way. We also had a really good warm-up scrim against Santa Cruz, who's kind of pushed us around from time to time because they're ball comp specialists, and we pushed back an awful lot. It was a really good week, a lot of good preparation, and genuinely we've turned the corner this week.
Yeah, a lot of great practice for all the players as Gob going up against a pretty good Cassidy and getting value out of it. And then on the second map, going attack Torb. Is that a new secret Boise State strat for us?
It's not in my nature to be mysterious, but I can't talk about it, and I can't talk about why.
Good to know. So we can expect that more fun stuff in the future. And you mentioned the importance of going up against ball comps that can cause a lot of problems, the kind of more high mobility, a bit more divey comps. So with Boise State getting higher up in these tier lists and a lot more scouting going on, what are some things you're worried about mentioning that balls can be an issue?
Honestly, teams that play more coordination, the ball can get in, get out, do a lot of damage. You got to get the Tracer and the Zen to agree on that. We've got an amazing Tracer and probably the best Zen in collegiate in Chosen. It was just a matter of dialing that in. And now that we've got it, it's looking real good. I think we're going to see even more of it.
So with the maps for ABC being constantly Oasis, are you excited to continue on Oasis, or do you want to see more control maps?
So we're gonna do. We don't know what the map pool will be for the playoffs yet, but we're moving into that phase of ABC. And technically, we played our Friday match and our Saturday match today. We've been inviting the Saturday team to play us right after. Normally, they don't occur together, but that they just pick the match for the week, and then we play it.
Yeah, so the adaptability of Boise State for all of the maps is definitely something to point out. Then if they're able to say, all right, we're playing this map and immediately have a strategy and go into it. So I definitely think that speaks to you as a coach of having him being that prepared.
Well, and the players decide what and how we play with the help that we get from strategic coaches. I make sure that we're just doing the reps that we need to feel really good and feel prepared. Make sure our scrims go where they need to.
Yeah, and one thing that D'Angelo even mentioned is that we have amazing individual play and constant 1v1s, and that our team play is always improving and something that was so strong. So as we take a quick look at this play, it is something that we've been doing great on.
So this is clear. This is a student that we are he's going to graduate this year, one of the top off-tanks in the nation. We want to keep good, talented folks coming in. Clear somebody that we're looking at as a potential Bronco. Want to try to woo him to come here. Great guy. Excited about the possibility. But honestly, there a dozen colleges that are recruiting him, and we want to see if he wants to be a Bronco.
Yeah, he did verbally confirm that he was coming to Boise State, so hopefully we can make that official. And I do.
It's not even time to confirm yet. We'll find out in February who our class of fall of 22 is going to be. But I don't want to tip the hand, but there are some pretty phenomenal players. As good as this group is now, we're going to see some graduations, and we're going to continue to build the strength of the program.
Yeah, and I believe we do have a second player as well on top of Clear. So tell us a bit about him.
Well, so we get to meet lots of great players out there. And Blade is a super strong player that we've got our eye on, and hoping that might be interested in the program. What's great about Overwatch right now is that the youth base of Overwatch is really high, and it's not everybody that plays at that level. Not every game even, right? But the high school play in Overwatch is really strong right now, and Blade's another one that we're very, very interested in getting here. Certainly on a visit, certainly into some tryouts, and possibly even offer a scholarship to come and help out. Main tank, but also a strong DPS player.
Yeah, so a really exciting future for Boise State.
Yep.
And I just want to thank you, Doc, for stopping by and having the interview.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and a great showing tonight.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for stopping by, and I believe that is the end of the stream here for us tonight. And I want to thank you all so much for joining us and enjoying so many matches, including both from high school and the ABC tournament. And I hope you have a good rest of your night.